I'm 21 now, 20 at the time, and my best friend, entitled friend, since 7th grade, has been in and out of my life since high school graduation. I should have seen the red flags then, but she was my best friend. And I'm really not social and just brushed off the stuff she did. She dated my first boyfriend in 10th grade after we had broken up, and told me it was to hurt him for what he did to me. She would always sneak out and use me as a cover-up. Bragged about how her D-dealer boyfriend of the week bought her so much expensive makeup that cost $600 to $700 and she'd be getting more next week. She never had a single boyfriend. It was always like 3 to 6 at a time. And they never knew about the other guys that would buy her whatever she wanted. EF even went so far as to give me her pea brownies when she got called up to the office to get searched. I was a goody-goody in school. And though we were friends, no one suspected me to have anything. But she didn't tell me they were edibles, and I ate them all in the first block. Back on track. So early 2019, I became pregnant. But for a long time, we didn't know we were pregnant, but had our suspicions into the second trimester. We weren't tracking every little thing trying to get pregnant, but we knew what we were doing and did want a child of our own. EF had gotten married and moved to Hawaii with her husband the year prior, but now they were moving back and she needed a place to stay while her husband was still in Hawaii packing up. My husband and I still lived with my mother at the time. And my mom, knowing she is still my best friend, had no problem with her staying with us. At this point, I had taken multiple pregnancy tests. Honestly, way too many to keep track of. And all of them had come back negative, except one. I had horrible morning sickness and all the other typical pregnancy symptoms. We hadn't gone to anyone to confirm I was pregnant yet, since we were in shock and didn't really know what to do. We were going to wait a little bit to see if the symptoms kept up. So, June comes around, and she lives with us for a week while her husband finishes packing and moves back over. Right. Wrong. She was supposed to be there for no more than a week. And a whole month later, which felt like 6 never-ending months, she finally left. She found out I was pregnant from a walk-in clinic when I went to get looked at, and they asked me if I was pregnant, because if I was, they couldn't give me any medicine. I said I might be, and I took the test. My husband was there, still not sure if I really was or not. And so was she. I asked EF to leave when they came back with the results, and she just sat in a corner on her phone, and with the most aggressive tone she could, said, "Oh, what? I'm on my phone. I don't see why I should leave. I've been meditating lately and I've had visions about you. You're not pregnant, or the spirits that visit me when I meditate would have told me." I asked again, in a still very calm and polite way, to leave, since the results are personal. And regardless of what they said, I just want to be alone with my husband. Okay, whatever, I guess I'll leave. I don't see why I have to, though, because I'm not even going to be listening. I'll just be on my phone. And I'm telling you, you're not pregnant, or the spirits would have told me. I just ignored the last part, and thanked her for saying she'd leave. The lady with the results came back and oh man, let me tell you. This lady knocked on the door, and as soon as I said come in, she swung the door open and just said, "Well, you're pregnant? Congratulations." To be fair, my friend had no time to react and leave. She profusely apologized that she had heard it. I started crying and told her it was fine. My husband comforted me and that was about it for now. Story 2. The whole car ride home she kept asking if she could tell people and asking all sorts of questions. I told her not to tell anyone and answered some of her questions. Now remember when I said I had taken multiple tests, but only one came back positive. I made the fatal mistake of mentioning that to her and that we really didn't know we were pregnant, but had our suspicions. She was actually happy for us. That was until we got back home. Once we got home, EF kept asking when I'll get looked at by my doctor and if she could be the godmother. She was also confused because she said I didn't show any symptoms of being pregnant. Well, you don't have morning sickness. You aren't spotting. And that happens to every woman when she first gets pregnant. You don't have any cravings. And your boobs haven't swollen any. Maybe you're not pregnant, and maybe the test was wrong. First off, the fact that she said I wasn't spotting and my boobs hadn't changed was royally messed up. Neither of those things had happened to me. But even if they had, she wouldn't have known since she wasn't me and I wouldn't have told her or shown her, which in itself is super weird. The rest of the time she was with us, she would constantly berate my husband and I, literally saying things like, "I'm fed up for not going to any visits yet. My husband is fed up for being a pushover. He's extremely non-confrontational and shy. My marriage is fed up since obviously my husband and I fight all the time. And that my husband hates me. He doesn't. And I've been in a relationship before, and she didn't care, and told me I did it to myself. And we have been together for 2 years, been married for 1, and have never even had an argument. Nonetheless, we fight all the time. How my husband is without a doubt cheating on me and lying to me since he's not too well liked at his job because of how antisocial he is. And how overall my life is a mess. This happened every single day she was at my house. And one day, she went through my things and had found a card I made when I got my first positive pregnancy test. I came home from work, and she asked if we could talk, and she already knows the truth, so I better tell her the truth or else. I assumed she snooped and found the card, and agreed to sit and talk. For what seemed like hours, she was literally yelling and screaming at me how terrible I was of a parent to my child for knowing how far along I was in not going to any appointments, how I was and neglecting my unborn baby by still smoking. I wasn't, that my mom probably already knows I'm pregnant and was waiting for me to grow up and tell her myself, that my baby is more hers and my other best friends because they could take way better care of my baby than I could and would do right by the baby, and that they both agreed I am and would continue to be a terrible mother. She kept going, how she had miscarried earlier in the year and wanted a baby so badly to fix her marriage. They were screwed from the first minute of dating. I told her I didn't know that and I was so sorry for her. I don't even care anymore. It's done and over with. I drank so much and smoked so much I don't even remember losing the baby. I don't even want a baby other than to fix my marriage. And since you obviously don't want your baby, you should give it to me once it's born. I finally spoke up at this point, shaking from frustration. No, you will not have my baby. I don't know how far along I am. I stopped smoking in 3 days, once I found out I might be pregnant. Don't bring BF into this, since she's the only other person who knows I'm pregnant and she hasn't once said anything to me about being a bad mother. I honestly don't remember much else of that conversation since I was so pissed off. I do remember the whole time she kept waving her arms around while she yelled, and I told her to calm down since she's freaking me out and I could feel my blood pressure rising, and that obviously wasn't good for the baby. She didn't care at all. So all of this happens within the first week of her living at my house with me. And I was honestly too afraid to tell her to leave. My husband and I kept taking her out to restaurants and paying for her every single night because of my craving. She never saved a penny while staying with us. She eventually left, and I sent her a huge text about everything she had done and how I felt, how we would no longer be friends. She tried apologizing with the typical, "I'm sorry I did XYZ, but I wouldn't have done it if you hadn't." I told her she was only mad at me for everything because my life was so good for the first time ever, and she was in a toxic marriage where she abuses and cheats on her husband daily. Then she begged me again for my baby once it was born to fix her marriage since my husband and I were so well off, and we could just have another baby later on. I cried on my mom, telling her everything that had happened, all the D's she was on, how mean she was to us after we gave her a free bedroom with bed and everything to live in, all the horrible things she had said to my husband and I. And after being friends for so long, this person wasn't my friend anymore, but a different person entirely. My mom comforted me and talked me through it all. There is so much more meticulous bullcrap to this story, and I'd be more than happy to share, but that's all I have for this. If you got this far, thank you so much for reading. This is still such a heavy thing for me to deal with, and she still reaches out trying to piss me off, but I don't care about her anymore. Side note, my daughter is 2 months old, super happy and healthy. She is doing things 4-month-olds do. I quit my job to stay at home with her to raise her, since my husband's job can support us if we budget right, and she is so well behaved, with very little crying, other than to let us know when she wants something. You and your husband let her stay for a month, and paid for her. Wow, well, you obviously did the right thing by kicking her out. Now that your daughter is here, don't let her come back in. She has too many issues that you can't fix. Plus, she's a user. You need to put all of your joy and attention on your new nuclear family. Congrats on the new baby. Story 3. My whole family is really close. Anything is cause for a get-together. I've got a cousin who I'll call Cece was getting married, and the whole family except me was there. I was out of the country on a volunteer mission trip from before she got engaged until after she was married, so I missed the first one. So, the whole family was at the reception celebrating C when the titled EP, another cousin, who I'll call Ah, announced that she was going into labor. She just barely let the family know that she was even pregnant. Turns out, it wasn't even Braxton Hicks. The whole family was kind of annoyed at Ah, but she was kind of forgiven too. I got home from my mission trip, and my folks threw a welcome home party. Guess what Ah announced at this party? Pregnant again. No husband, no boyfriend, but expecting number 2. She ended up giving this baby up for adoption and he went to a wonderful home. 2 years later, there was another wedding. Mine. We were going to have an outdoor reception at a beautiful venue, but a storm rolled in and we had to move inside. Something went wrong with the DJ, so no music. Had to move inside at the last minute, so most of the decorations couldn't move in because they were gone in the wind. But then, Ah, who never lost the baby weight, started to moan, and guess what? Going into labor. No one even knew she was expecting. Old baby weight covered up new baby weight. The whole family was pissed, especially my new wife. Thankfully, Grandma gave her a come-to-Jesus talk and told her how the whole family was sick of this crap. I left them on my honeymoon, and I wasn't invited to the next few holiday dinners. She got married a few years later to a nice guy and had 2 more kids. She burned a few more bridges over the years, and we don't see her much anymore. Funny side story, I ended up in law enforcement, and one day I was assigned to serve court papers. Guess who I got to go serve? That's right, cousin All. I wasn't planning on it, but she had several friends over to celebrate the birth. I know another one of her daughters, and I got to serve her in front of her friends. I tried not to be a jerk about it. Got to meet the baby, gave her a hug, but having an officer in full uniform serving papers in front of the company must be embarrassing. Oh my god, this is too much. I love how her going into labor just happens to be when someone's getting married. Like wow, great timing. Can you ask All how she got the magic powers to go into labor at convenient times? 'Cause I'm currently pregnant and I would love to snap my fingers and be like, alright baby, you're coming out now. Posted on behalf of my girlfriend. Backstory, her sister is evil. From day one, she ruled the house, making everyone's life an absolute misery. Barely into her teens, told the family she didn't ask to be born, so it's up to them to look after her. I met her when she was about 15, 16. She played nicely around me at the start. She had tried flirting with another partner my girlfriend had, and I had been warned. But it wasn't until my girlfriend felt pregnant that she dropped the act and her true colors burst through. My girlfriend was still living at home with her family when she found out she was pregnant. She told her mom and dad. They seemed happy and were asked to keep it quiet till she was past the 3-month stage. 3 months were nearly up and my girlfriend had just got home from a standard pregnancy-related doctor's appointment, dropped her bag with the notes in her bedroom, then went to the toilet. Her sister goes into her room, sees the bag, and looks through the notes and runs them down to their dad, screams at him, "Did you know she's effing pregnant?" Followed by other insults. Girlfriend goes back in her room, and her sister storms in, shouting at her about who's going to do her chores, and that she was supposed to have the first grandchild. Girlfriend is 21 when this happened. Their dad shouts for them both to come down, and they both go. Girlfriend is about halfway down, and her sister knocks her in the back, and she falls forward to the floor. Her sister leans in and says, "I hope it's dead." I'm called from work, and we rush her up to the hospital. All is good and the baby's fine. My girlfriend moved out that day. About a week later, we're at their dad's house at a friendly get-together barbecue and fireworks. We decided this is the perfect time to tell the non-biological family that their girlfriend is expecting. We planned on doing it before the fireworks. Her sister had other plans. As the barbecue is winding down, she's hanging out of the bathroom window and shouts, "Oh, just to let you know, my ducking sister's pregnant and it's not so to mine saints." Everyone was shocked and we explained how it's a lie and the baby was mine. This was a few years back and we barely speak to her sister now. Her life's a complete mess. She goes from guy to guy and loves a good to addicted scumbag that's been to prison. My girlfriend has more stories about stuff her sister has done in the past. We don't need to get revenge as her life is far worse than I'd wish on my worst enemies. I don't know if this belongs here, but my girlfriend no longer sees her as family. She's a random stranger in the street to her. Sorry, but my sister-in-law is bat crap crazy. Glad she is not trying to get back into your lives. It saves you having to get a restraining order to keep her away.